Hello, today we are in conversation with Mr. Ashish Gupta, a well-known industry veteran, and many of you know him as the head of Volkswagen. But today we are speaking to him in his new role as the head of Skoda Auto India. Ashish, thanks for joining
Thank
us.
you for
And
having me.
want to kick this off with you've got this new role now to be the brand director of Skoda, the Skoda brand in India. How does it feel? Because it's an in-house brand, so does it feel very different? And just your thoughts on switching from Volkswagen to Skoda.
No, I think, the biggest switch that I had to make was in my mind. You've been to our office, Hormazd, and, when you enter the office, on the right side is the Skoda brand team, and on the left side is the Volkswagen team. So for the last more than a decade, I have been used to turning left. Yeah, so for the first 1 week, actually, I ended up turning left every day, and I had to correct myself and go to the right side of the office. So yeah, it does take a little bit, but I think the organization has been kind enough. We had a good cooling off period. We had a good transition period. So it's been nice. Yeah.
Right. So now that you're in the saddle, back to business,
Yeah.
just your thoughts on your immediate priorities for the Skoda brand.
I think the immediate priority is to basically, utilize the growth momentum that we have created. By entering the sub 4 meter segment, there's a big opportunity or a big accessible segment now that we have entered. Till the launch of the Kylaq, we were basically in around 20% of the market. Yeah, 20-25% of the market. Now with the Kylaq, we are more than 55% of the market. So it's a big opportunity for us. It's a big space for us. It is also an opportunity for us to get closer to the customers as a brand. With the segment that we are entering in, with the price points now we are addressing, with the kind of network that we are creating, I think it's a very good opportunity for Skoda to be a relevant brand in India.
Right. But, Ashish, to be honest, with the launch of the Kylaq, let's say a little bit of tweaking was needed. We noticed that the bottom end was obviously very affordable, a lot of demand there, wouldn't supply for obvious reasons. I would imagine it wasn't very profitable at that end. The top end a bit too high. Now we've seen a bit of adjustment at the top end and the bottom end, a little bit of convergence. Do you think more tweaking needs to be done to kind of streamline all the variants, the price walk, just to make it more competitive?
I think, from my experience, Hormuz, and you would also second that this is never a finished article. You have to continuously adjust your positions, the variants that you have in the market, the price positions they sell at, continuously, because the market keeps on evolving. And when you launch a car, you have a certain plan in mind, you have certain customers in mind, and keeping in mind that we were entering a new segment which we had not been present in. Yes, we needed to adjust our strategies. Yeah, and as I said, it's never a finished article. You have to continuously do that, and that's what we'll do.
So just to press you a bit on Kylaq, where do you see, let's say, the kind of, let's say, in terms of variants, is it still very much at the top end? Where is the sweet spot vis-a-vis competition as well?
Now, if you look at the sweet spot of the segment lies between, let's say, 8.5 lakhs to around 11.5 lakhs. That's where almost 55 to 60% of the volume in this segment sells. Yeah. So our endeavor is also to get there. Yeah. But having said that, we also have to keep in mind what are our strengths. If I look at the strengths of the Skoda brand as a product, I think the biggest strength that we have not communicated enough or we want to build on is that, Hormuz, if you look at it, today, the Kylaq with its automatic, the real automatic as they say, the torque converter automatic, is available at only 10.95. There is nobody else in the market who gives a real automatic at that price.
Right.
Yeah. So that value proposition of the car, that intrinsic strength of the product, we have to bring out. Yeah?
Right.
So our endeavor should not only be to address the belly of the market as it exists, but with this product, we have a chance to actually redefine or move that belly a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
You talked about value proposition,
Yeah.
but I think what's happening in this market, it's becoming a features arm race. Just everything being tick boxed. You've seen how especially domestic competition is throwing everything into it. Some of the Koreans are doing that. Is that a bit of a challenge? Because the sense one gets is the focus has always been on, talking more about the strengths of the engineering of the car, how well engineered it is, and not so much on, let's say, the features, whether it's a big sunroof or ambient lighting, things like that. Yeah.
No, definitely. At the end of the day, what are the strengths of the Skoda brand? They are European engineering. Yeah, they are safety, and they are value. Yeah. So these, the first two boxes we tick, and we are known and established in that space. The third is a value proposition, which you continuously have to evolve. At any point of time, you cannot say I have the perfect product and it delivers the best value to the customer. You have to continuously assess, is this something which will add value to your product? Is a feature which the customer is asking for today, will it add value? Can I bring that in my pricing out and still continue to give that kind of a value to the customer? So that is something which we continuously assess. If you look at the Kylaq today as well, you know, the kind of features that we have brought into this car, the digital FPK, the kind of sunroof that we have now, you know, all the features which were asked for or were desirable in this segment have been brought in. The real features which I think would matter to the customer. Yeah.
Right.
But having said that, you have to continuously assess and bring more features as the customers and the market demands.
You know, I mean, now it's moved into ADAS and more connectivity and things like that. So, do you think, Ashish, to be honest, that there needs to be a rethinking in terms of product planning as to what Indian customers really want than what you think they want? You know, and this is sometimes with European manufacturers.
Totally.
This is a bit of a like a bit of a gap.
No, totally. And Hormazd, and this is a very big debate that we keep on having also internally. You know, I'll give you an example. Before I moved to this brand, I just brought in a car, the Tiguan R line. And when I was doing the product specifications of that car, we prioritized some of the features that you spoke about. Yeah?
Right.
Today, if you read the press, and the customers, they say, we would have liked some other feature compared to this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a question of, if you don't have something, that is something very easy to point out.
Right.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, as I said, it's a value proposition. The value that we believe in is solid engineering. The value that we believe in is safety.
Right.
The value that we believe is in having features which really matter to the customers. Yeah.
Right.
So that's our value proposition.
Right. And actually, just shifting overall to product strategy, I want to start with CBUs and CKDs. It seems quite unstructured and, to be honest, a bit ad hoc. You know, some models come limited number, then they're sort of discontinued. Models which were earlier CKD, like the Superb, now can only be in CBU because there's no packing unit or a CKD plant to get them in a CKD, which is unfortunate. Octavia, which was really popular, not there, coming back. There's talk of diesels coming back. So a lot of kind of random ad hoc statements which have been done. So just want to get your sense. I mean, is this something that you will have to focus on and streamline and have a proper structured long-term strategy for this end of the market, which is CBU, CKD products?
No, I think Hormazd, and I wouldn't say that only we are confused right now. The entire market is confused. You know, there is talk of FTAs, there are talks of new policies coming in, there are new talks of new tariffs. In this kind of environment, which organization can have a settled strategy? You cannot. Even if I want to bring a structure around this strategy, the variables are so high right now that every strategy is fraught with risks.
And not in your control.
Not in your control. So, although I do have a plan in mind, we do have a plan in mind as a brand on what cars can make it to India and should make it to India. But all this uncertainty doesn't allow you to take decisions.
Right. So it's fair to say you put a little bit on hold until you get a bit of clarity.
No, definitely not. You know, the idea is basically that, the global icons that have been in India, we definitely will continue to focus on it. But I want to be very structured in it. I do not want to, carpet bomb the market and ourselves basically with products. We have a task at hand. Our bandwidth as an organization also has certain limits. The bandwidth of our dealers also has certain limits. And I want to focus on basically what matters at this point. And that is to succeed with the Kylaq and the portfolio that we have.
Right.
Whatever FBU and CKD or the PNC products we are able to get is cherry on the top from a brand building point of view and going with the traditional legacy of Skoda of being a premium brand.
Right. So what you're saying is Octavia definitely on the cards, on the radar, but no real time frame as to when you can do it.
Octavia as a global icon, I think the Octavia RS is definitely something which we will bring this year.
Right.
Again, contingent to any policy changes that happen.
Right. But being a CBU is slightly easier that way because it's a low risk kind of a thing.
Low risk kind of a thing with a limited
units and
limited volume. PNC, we already have the Kodiaq. The Kodiaq is there. It's a roaring success. Within the first 1 month, we have had 500 bookings. It's a known brand in India. And that is also contrary to what you've just described about in-out. Kodiaq has been a product which has been long-term in India. And every generation has come to India. So we do realize that, inconsistency in product strategy does not give confidence to the market. We all understand that. And the objective also is to have a portfolio which is consistent and always present. That is why I said I would rather have less and be consistent than have everything and not be consistent about it.
Right. And is it fair to say that sometimes less also makes more sense, because if you fragment the portfolio, there's even the challenge and cost of regulations which are non-tariff barriers in a way, because obviously the EU regulations, are they suitable over here, to meet the Indian regulations? That's becoming quite a challenge for all automakers.
Yeah, it is.
So especially now with E20, I believe engines have to be compliant with E20, which for small volumes can be a challenge.
Yeah, it is.
So great. So I think Ashish, talking again on product planning, let's talk about your 2.0 products.
Sure.
Sense one gets is that that cycle of facelift replacement like other OEMs do, that's really not been the case with the group. So what can we expect in this, say? Because obviously these products now, they've been launched about 3-4 years. But what is, like, say, the outlook for them? I mean, are we going to see replacement? I mean, I don't mean to, I'm not asking you straight for the new models, but just as a strategy in terms of keeping products fresh, because that again has been something which the brands haven't done.
Totally. I think, Hormazd, I've been with this group for a long time now, and I can vouch for it that our refreshments and product enhancements or feature enhancements have been much faster than ever it was before. If you look at it over the last 4 years in the Kushaq and Slavia itself, the kind of features we have brought in, we changed this, we brought the ventilated seats, we brought a lot of features which were not there when the cars were launched. So the sound system in the car, features which were not available right at the time of SOP. So a lot of features have been brought in which is much faster than we could afford or we did earlier. But having said that, we as a group and we as a brand do realize that our product refresh cycles have to be a little bit shorter.
So personal target to make Slavia the #1 selling sedan in the country, the way you did with Virtus?
No, I think, again, here I'll be a little bit diplomatic. It's all in the house, it doesn't matter who's #1 or #2 as long as...
Did you feel that way when you were with the
As long as we are in the group and we are keeping customers in the group, it's all fine.
Right, okay. That is a diplomatic answer, but I'm sure you are personally going to make sure that Slavia gets to that position. I'm sure you'll do that. But again, interesting you said that you've got your facelifts around the corner. But just going forward, because there are a lot of gaps in the market, EVs being one of them, which you will need for more than anything for certain CAFE compliance in 2027. Obviously, a worry for a lot of manufacturers. So just your thoughts on the EV market, how it's panning out, and frankly, even whatever plans you can share in joining the race, so to speak.
No, I think, you have to get into EV space, no doubt about it. We have to do it, whether it is for regulations or I think from the point of view where the market is moving or customers are evolving to. The question over the last 2-3 years has always been the pace of electrification in India. I remember when we had our first interaction, Hormazd, that was back in 2022, and we were talking about 15-20% penetration by 26-27. We are right now sitting in middle of 25 and we are at 4.5% penetration. So that pace, not only in India but globally, has slackened off. So that is something which, having that kind of instability or that kind of a gap between what was forecast 2 years ago and now does lead to a little bit of rethink on whether that is the right strategy, or do you want to have a mix of various strategy going in to hedge your bets, as you say. So that's definitely something which is happening in all manufacturers, not in us. But having said that, if you do not have a EV plan, you cannot have a future plan.
Right.
So we are working very aggressively on an EV plan, what that product should be, which segment should it sit in, what kind of price points, what kind of features. That is something definitely on the table and being discussed.
Right. And, just again, turning back to, let's say, Skoda Auto, it'd be interesting to, maybe it's a little too early, but still, the group. The nuanced difference between Volkswagen and Skoda, one says that Skoda is a little bit more nimble, a little bit more agile, and even a little bit more flexible to sometimes local development, which really helps in costs. Do you think that's the way forward, to have that sort of agility and more than that flexibility to maybe develop a few components locally, which kind of reduces cost and downtime
Of course.
and time.
Of course, if you have to be relevant to the market, if you have to get closer to the customers, you have to bring, technology and development into the country. No doubt about it. How fast can you do it without compromising the qualities we are known for? The DNA that this group is known for, the Skoda brand is known for, is the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you still remain a European brand while having the costs in India or coming down to Indian cost levels? Yeah. So that's always a tussle.
And you think that is the focus as well right now?
It is, definitely.
Because that's the only way to get the
And we have
cost down.
progressed a long time or a long way, almost. If I look at our old days when we had the Fabia and the Rapid, the amount of localization was not to the level that we are with the India 2.0, and in the Kylaq, it has even gone higher.
Right. And, looking at the dealer network right now, just your thoughts on that. Obviously, it's fairly large. And, what are your plans in terms of network? Is there more expansion required or just optimization of the dealerships?
No, I think definitely an expansion is underway for the last 1 year. Last year around this time, we were at around 180 touch points. Today, we are sitting at 240. The plan is to go above 300 touch points by the end of this year. The ultimate target, if we are able to make it, is to have 350 touch points, including service and sales, everything included, by the end of this year or early first quarter. With the kind of product portfolio that you now have with the Kylaq, you definitely need to go into newer areas. Not only, I'm not talking only about tier 2 and tier 3. Definitely you need to go into tier 2 and tier 3. But also in urban pockets. No? Bombay is not a homogeneous city.
Right.
Yeah. Virar is very different from, Bandra.
Right.
And if you're not present in Virar with your, Kylaq, maybe you lose out a lot of customers.
Right.
Yeah. So that is how we are addressing it, that, go to where the customers are, not only in tier 2, tier 3 towns, but also in urban centers.
Right. So you said a target of 350 touch points. I want to ask you, sales target. How is 2025 looking? What are your expectations and where do you feel?
I'm a brand director, but I also take care of sales to a large extent. So very difficult to put a number, which I will not be held answerable for later. Yeah.
Right.
So that's an art you learn very early in your sales career.
Right.
Never put a number on what you will achieve.
But what is your sense? How is 2025 looking for you?
2025 is looking very good. In fact, if you look at the first 5 months for Skoda, they have been blockbuster for us.
Right.
We
Led by the Kylaq.
doubled our volumes. The market share is close to very close to 2% end of May. We have moved from rank 10 in the market to rank 7.
Right.
And if you look at top 6, we are the leading brand outside the top 6 in the Indian market. That's the position we have been able to attain, and very clearly, without putting a number to it, the target is to maintain that rank for this year.
And between Kylaq and Kushaq, is there some cannibalization? Because to be honest, the Kushaq little small for its segment, or it's perceived as small, optically small, and the Kylaq is quite big. So really the gap between Kylaq and Kushaq seems to be narrower than with other compact SUVs and mid-size SUVs. So how do you balance this?
No, definitely. And I think this was my sense also, when we were launching the Kylaq, or when I saw the Kylaq, when I was not even in the Skoda brand, that this can hit not only the Kushaq, but the sibling in Volkswagen as well. So to test this hypothesis, actually, I visited one of our dealerships yesterday, Modi Skoda in Worli. And I was talking to the team. Are they seeing a cannibalization between Kylaq and Kushaq? The definitive answer was no. No. Yeah. Right. Because the Kushaq has been placed as a more premium offering right from the start. Yes, on the lower variants, you will have certain customers also looking at the Kylaq. But the set of customers coming in for Kylaq are very different from what the set of customers coming in for Kushaq are. Yeah?
Right.
I would say the cannibalization is more internal, because the Kylaq is a new introduction, is an easier sell, so to say, right now.
Right.
Therefore, the dealership teams start to lose focus on a product which needs a little bit of more effort to convince customers.
Right.
So that's something which I think is a normalization that is going to take 3 or 4 months. That is the phase we are in right now.
Right. Ashish, great talking to you. And as ever, I think it's like you've join this brand as if you've been in it for the last 10 years. You know the business, you know the, I
No,
think,
you give me a lot of insights, Hormazd, already, so I know more about this brand than I ever did.
so, but anyway, exciting times, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Hormazd.
you.
Always a
Thank
pleasure.
you.